Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's so good to see you all virtually here. My name is Shamel Yamofio, and it's been so nice to get to know you over this past year. You are here because you want to learn more information about the next steps, being that your children have gotten into college. So we also have on the line Mr. Terry Burrows. He's our senior counselor for students with last names A through J. I have students with last names K through Z, and we have our very special guest. She's back again, Dr. Nicole Henderson. Woo-hoo! And we will be discussing, you picked a school, now what? I'm going to go ahead and let Dr. Henderson take it away.
Hello, hello, hello. How are everyone doing? I am super excited to be back for part 2 of our Navigating the Transition to College parent series, Your Chat and Chew. This is part 2, right? So part 1, we kind of talked about, okay, those admissions have come in. Now, how do you choose that college? What's next? So for this one, like you said, okay, now you've chosen that college. What do we do now? So let me take a moment. I'm going to share a few slides to kind of walk you through some key items that you should be doing right now to make that transition. If you recall who I am, Dr. Nicole Henderson. I'm a former Dean of Student Affairs. I've been higher ed for 30 plus years, and I've been working with students in navigating college all the way from pre-college years, all the way to graduation from college into graduate programs as well too. I also oversaw working with undergraduate students and getting those students prepared for doctoral programs, law school, and med school. So I bring to you a lot of inside knowledge and all the nuts and bolts in that toolkit. And I'm going to try to give you some more tools for your toolbox today. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. And let's see. Let me present it for you. All right, there we go. So we're on that navigating the transition to college. This is a Bridge to College workshop series that I created as part of Collegiate Bridge. So the main thing we're going to kind of be talking about are what are those things that you should be thinking about now in this journey? Because as we talked about the last time, from that college application first phase to getting that admissions to actually enrolling in college in the fall, that's a large process. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about, each of those different steps along the way as you're making that journey with you and your child or children. So you've made that college decision. Yay, celebrate it. You know which college, or you're probably very close to it, I'm hoping, because that's what this is going to help you with. You may still have one or two, but if not, maybe you are at that point now, you're pretty sure which one is a top school and where you're going to go. You've made that college decision, and now they're just ready to go, right? And not quite, not yet, because you're probably thinking, okay, now what? Does this look like anybody? Is anybody thinking this way? Because I know when it was back my time after I got it, I said, okay, now what do we do now? When I first got the first admissions with my kids. So that probably looked like a few of you here. It certainly looked like me. So that's why I'm here, because I'm going to help you get past this stage so that we can talk about what you should be doing now. So I'm going to start with 8 key things first, and I'm going to break it down into some steps for you. For first key things now. First and foremost, if anybody knows anything about Dr. Nicole, they know that I am all about a debt-free college education. So everything coming from me is always going to be about the money, about the scholarships, about financial aid, and using that as a mechanism for choosing college as well too. So first and foremost for me, you need to make sure that you are reviewing the financial aid package that you have received. What do I mean by review? You need to make sure what's on there the scholarships and the grants, the loans, whatever is on there, make sure you understand the difference between those three. And we talked about those before. And our third series, when I come back for part 3, I'm actually going to dig into financial aid and cost and scholarships a little bit more. So for this Chat and Chew today, I'm going to just talk about really high level, 3 levels, scholarships, grants, and loans will be on that package, right? So before you accept that though, make sure you review it and fully understand what is there before you accept it, because you do have to accept your financial aid package. What does that mean? You have to actually let them know that you're accepting what they have presented to you. So if there's scholarships on there, and I'm praying and guessing and hoping everybody here, yes, there are scholarships on your award package. If they are not, keep digging and looking, because there should be, because there is scholarship dollars out there. Don't give up on it yet. I will tell parents that keep pushing. It's not too late. There is still time, and there's still scholarship dollars, even from colleges and institutions, right? So if there's scholarships on there, make sure you know the criteria for those scholarships before you accept it. What's required? Do they have to have a certain GPA? Is there a public service component? There's all types of scholarships, even from your college or university. So you have to know what they're asking for in that scholarship. Is it renewable? Will your child have this scholarship all 4 years, or is it just a freshman scholarship? Do they have to reapply for this scholarship each year? You need to know that information. Those are questions you should start writing down now. Make sure you ask those questions, okay? You also need to know if there's any loans on that package. What type of loans do you have? Because there's different types of loans. You need to be aware of those, okay? Other key point here, and I've seen this a million times, even if the loan is on your package, if you decide to accept the loan, if it does end up that you have to accept a loan, and as you said, with Dr. Nicole, I'm all about the small amount of loan as possible. But if you do have to take out a loan, you will have to go through loan counseling online, and you will have to sign a promissory note, because basically you are borrowing money. Taking out is a legal document that you will have to sign. They will not release any loan money without having gone through that process. Telling you that early so you can document it and know if you do that. If you wait to the end, then nothing can be released, and your child cannot move forward if they don't do that one step. All right. Here's a key. Here's a Dr. Nicole key, if you will. You probably heard this before, but I'm going to say it's mine anyway. But here's the key. If you are still negotiating your financial aid, do not accept your financial aid. All right. Do not accept it just yet, because you're still in the negotiating stage, right? And as I shared before, colleges and universities use scholarships and money to recruit students. The minute they think that they no longer have to recruit you, guess what? They don't have to give you as much money anymore, right? So don't let them know that they don't have to recruit you yet until you get the package you're most certain that you can get from that school, okay, that you have chosen. Then after you've looked at that financial aid package, you're certain that it's a really great package. There's scholarships on it. There's no loans, or if it is, it's a small amount of loans, or there may be loans you may have to take out. Educational loans in and of itself is not a bad thing. So don't misunderstand me. If you do have to take out one, there's certain types to take out, but you take out the bare minimum. Also remember, if there is a loan on your package, you don't have to take out all of that loan amount. They may give you a loan and say, well, we'll give you, add in there $1,000 for books that you will take out in the loan. You may decide, guess what? I don't want to take out $1,000 in books. We're going to figure out a way to pay for the books each year, each semester. So you can ask them to reduce the amount of your loans and take that amount off. Okay. So keep in mind, as parents, as students, you get to decide how much loan money you want to take out. And please don't take out more than you need. Take out the bare minimum, because it will increase over the years what you pay back. If you take out $1,000, you will not be paying back $1,000. all right? Because it increases from the day you sign and take out the loan, not when you graduate. It starts from the time you take it out. So if you take it out in your freshman year, this August in 22, it's going to continue to increase until you graduate and start paying back, all right? So keep that in mind. Next thing you're going to move into, and you got to think about, then you do have to officially accept your admissions and send in your deposit. Key thing to understand. Please officially accept. That's by email. Once you are sure that the financial aid is in place, you like that financial aid package, this is the school you want to attend, now you're ready, now you can officially accept it and send your deposit, all right? This deposit will be the first one that you will have to send. You will have to send this one prior to any financial aid. It is not contingent upon financial aid. It is usually referred to as an enrollment deposit. And basically the college wants to, for you to make sure that you're really coming. They want you to make a commitment to them before they tell other students that they're not going to admit them, because you know they also have waiting lists. So they need to know who they can admit off that waiting list based on students who have committed and made their enrollment deposit. So with that point, it's also important to make sure you notify all of your other schools that have admitted you that you don't plan to attend. That is really, really important. And just don't leave it out there, because as I just said, remember, there's other students out there also who might be sitting on a waiting list and they're waiting for their spot. And if you're not going to take that spot, open it up, let another student have it. Okay. I can share the importance of these waiting lists right now. My nephew, who's actually my youngest nephew right now, is graduating senior and is applying to law school. He is sitting on a waiting list right now, waiting to get into law school. So we want to know that those spots are opening up. So if you're not going to go, let the school know. All right. And if you have any questions, you know how we do this thing. If any questions as I'm moving through this, please make sure you drop them in the chat, and I'll stop and try to answer any, not try, I will definitely answer any of those questions that you have for me to the best of my knowledge. Put it that way. All right. Got it. We had
someone asked, should the student do the negotiations, or is it acceptable for the parent to negotiate the financial aid offer on the student's behalf?
This is such a tricky question. Okay, so it depends on what the negotiation is that's happening. First and foremost, it should come from the student first. And there is a technique to negotiating with financial aid. However, if you have to come back a second time for whatever reason, or if it's something more complicated, more involved, major challenges or changes within the family, then that should include the parents. So it really depends on the situation and how you are negotiating and your purpose and reason for negotiating. The fact of simply saying, we have a lot of bills and we can't afford this is not a negotiation tactic. It won't work. That's not what will move the financial aid office. But there are strategic ways, and there are things and family dynamics and key areas that can change that will make a difference. Uh-oh, I can't make out. Are you asking a question, Terry? I can't make out what you're saying. Uh-oh. You guys can hear me okay? I cannot hear Terry. What's going on? Okay, something's going on with my audio. Mr. Burrows, I'm sorry. Something's going on with, let me try something else. Let me see. Mr. Burrows, can you try again? It's all muffled. I changed my speakers to see if that could possibly be it. Do you want to try and see if you guys can?
Mr. Burrows is gonna log back in.
Okay, so I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Do you want to ask the question or do you want me to move on?
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, yes, we can hear you. Okay. I think we can keep it moving. I'm sorry, what did I miss?
I think Mr. Burrows was trying to ask a question. I could see him, but it was all garbled and I couldn't make it out. So it could have been a long one.
Okay, don't worry. We'll come back to it.
Okay. And I changed just in case. I didn't know if it was my audio. So I'm going to move to this one. Let me know if we run into any issues and I'll go back. My audio has been, you know, technology. It's our friend. We love it. All right. So, set the next one after you're looking at accepting and sending that deposit. Yes, you will have to send that deposit as soon as you are sure of your financial aid package, you're sure of your college, go ahead and send your deposit. Deposits are not necessarily due. Most colleges will give you until May 1st to do that. However, there are some advantages if you're sure to go ahead and pay your deposit and get that situated and squared away. All right. There's no reason to wait until May the 1st if you are certain financial aid, everything is in order. All right. Other key thing you need to do, make sure you set up the college email and the student parent portal. And the reason I have student parent portal, all institution colleges and universities now have a student portal. Some actually have a parent portal now. Not all of them do. Check and find out which ones do. Set those up as quickly as possible. And here's why, because all of the pertinent information from the institution is going in that portal. And or they're going to send you an email. Okay, so it is imperative that you have those two set up because you will miss important information, or you could miss important information. You could miss important deadlines. They may contact you via that email or the student portal and say, you qualify for a scholarship and we need you to apply for it, and you can miss that deadline. All right, so not only should you set up the email, and the college will work with you on how to do that and those portals, make sure you set up a plan and that you are checking in every day. I know, every day, you should be checking it every day because it could have pertinent information in there that you do not want to let sit in that email or that portal. Oftentimes, institutions will also just update information into the student portal, which is, you know, their online portal, and they may just send you an email that says you have important information in your portal, log in and read it. Because sometimes it's very sensitive information and a college or university cannot send that via email. So therefore, they'll just put everything into the portal. For the parents, it's information for you on next steps and things you need to do for that institution. You want to know that. Why? Because every institution in college is different. How they are approaching things is very different. And it's very different than how we did it when we went to school many, many years ago, or when I went to school many, many years ago. It is a very different process now. Technology has changed a lot of it. COVID has changed a lot of it. Virtual, online, it's a lot of changes in with how colleges are operating, both in the academic affairs and the student services arena on college campus. So be aware of that. And the best way for you to ensure
that you know the next steps to take, that so that you can plan out the steps to take, is to stay on top of it. So even though I know everybody says it's because I was like this and all the parents, and we couldn't wait to get through all those applications. And we thought, whoo, the applications are done. Hallelujah, it's over. Not really. It was over for a minute. So now we just have to move to the next chapter. But this one's a lot easier and it'll be fun. This one is a much more fun. It's things to do, but it's things that you will definitely enjoy, I think, doing, because you will see this process come into your vision, this dream, what you set out, you're going to see it start coming into focus. So you will like that. You will enjoy it. At least it was a really pleasant time for me when I started seeing it come into focus, and for many parents and families I work with, they feel the exact same way. All right. So also, okay, so college email, student portal, make sure you set that up. Now, here's the other huge one, is the placement test. I think I mentioned this before. I'm going to dig into this one just a little bit more for you because it is a critical piece of the college journey that is often not talked about this early for students. So I'm putting it much earlier in the process because it is critical. Placement tests are a critical piece of what happens in the admissions journey for students, and it needs to be taken very seriously. Because it is not an SAT test or ACT test, sometimes students and parents are told, oh, don't worry about a placement test. It's not that big deal. They're just going to assess your skill level to see where your student is and just go in there and take it. Let me tell you, that is not true. Do not do that. Because let me tell you the story of a student I know who actually took math all the way up through calculus and had an A in calculus in high school, had to take a placement exam, and was told, don't worry about it, it's just to assess your skill. But what the student did not realize is that the placement exam starts, the first math class, the math questions begin with Algebra 1. This student hadn't looked at Algebra 1 since 9th grade, for the most part, at that level. So what happened, because the student did not get prepared, hadn't refreshed the memory, this student did not do well on Algebra 1 and was placed in remedial level math based on that placement exam. So I had to actually work with that parent and that student and help navigate to get that student placed in the right math classes. All right, that is a real story, truly happened. So it is a reality, it can happen. How can you avoid that? Here's the thing to do. Find out if placement tests are required for the college or university you've chosen. It's not required everywhere, but some do choose it. All community colleges do require it for the most part. They will require an assessment of skills, is what they call it. And the purpose of it is to decide whether a student is college ready academically. That's what the whole purpose of it is, right? So community colleges definitely do it. The majority of HBCUs also will require a placement exam. Why is that? Because most HBCUs have a mission to educate the majority of minority Black and minority students who want to apply and want to attend college. Therefore, because that is their mission, they have very high acceptance rates. With those high acceptance rates, they have to determine where the students are academically. So typically they will have them, not all of them, but just about all of them do, right? So because they do that, it's important that you understand it if you do. A school also that has a very high acceptance rate most likely will have a placement exam of some type. They could call them different names. This is critical. Find out now if that is required. If it is required, first things first, try to see if you can be exempt from the placement exam. I tell all parents, all students, work for exemptions first, and I'm going to tell you why. Placement tests have a very bad reputation. Overwhelmingly, minority students end up in remedial and what they call developmental classes as a result of placement exams. Placement exams have a very bad research in terms of being credible and assessing the skill level of minority students because of the way they were developed. This happened to be my research area as well too. So I am really, I know a lot of details in this area. So I am really passionate about placement exams and what happens in the path it sets students on in terms of student success. So placement tests are kind of my area. So that's my area, that's my baby. I'm really passionate about that area. So get exemptions first. What does an exemption mean? How do you do that? One, most institutions will look at transcripts. Oftentimes your high school transcript could be a means of exemptions. So I know, like for instance, some community colleges, if you have a certain grade in algebra 1, algebra 2, then you can be exempt from taking the placement exam in math. If you have a certain grade in certain English courses, you can be exempt from taking the placement exam in English and or writing and or reading, depending on what the placement exam is. Look for those exemptions, ask about that first, okay? They also have exemptions that oftentimes your ACT score or your SAT score can be used as an exemption. So if they use those, ask them about that. My child has such and such score. Does that exempt them? They will have a page oftentimes where you can go find that information. Please take the time to look for the exemptions first before taking a placement exam. Because I know students who have taken placement exams, and based on how they score, they can add an additional year onto the courses that's required. And these courses are pre-college courses. They're called developmental courses that do not count towards the college degree. Placement tests are important to understand that, okay? Here's the other piece. If you do find that your child has to take the placement test, make sure you prepare for it. Do not go in taking that placement exam blindly. And do not believe they just say, oh, it doesn't matter, just go take it because they want to say. No, there is a preparation that should take place and can take place. And every institution will have placement materials available for students at that time, okay? They either have them online, some of them even have placement test prep courses, some even have a class you can do, whatever it is. Make sure you know if it's required, you know if your child has to take that exam so that you have enough time to understand what the exam is, what's going to be on it, and how your child can prepare for it. You didn't come this far to let something like a placement test say, oh no, well, we're going to add some extra classes on to if it's not necessary. Oftentimes, those classes are not necessary. My research has shown that they are not necessary. Research has shown typically that they don't help students in terms of being more successful in college. So the key is to avoid them at all costs if possible. That's my professional recommendation. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break right here and see if there's any questions. Any questions we want to add right now? Well, not add or ask right now.
I see someone says, I have seen a reference to ALEKS in all caps. Is there a guide for preparing for that exam?
There is. Yes, there is a guide out there. Institutions, all of colleges, universities should have one access for you for that. So definitely. I mean, it's just like anything else. Our kids are taking tests. We don't tell our kids to go and take any test. Just go in and you don't have to prepare for a test. All through school, they prepare. So this one is just as important. Anything else?
I don't see any other questions at the moment.
Okay. And also keep in mind, there could be different types of placement exams as well too. One is a placement test that will assess whether the student is college ready and can enroll in freshman level courses. There's also some that may exist for highly competitive courses that are hard to enroll in, which is another reason why I'm giving you this so you can start this early, because sometimes enrolling in very competitive courses like the entry level courses in the sciences and the math, they may have tests to determine which students can get into those classes as well too. Nursing, for instance, is a very competitive field. And oftentimes in nursing, the nursing students have to take an exam to determine who can get into the courses that will put them into the nursing field and into the nursing pipeline. So if your child is interested in, say, like the nursing field or the engineering field, the science and math, those are often could be very competitive courses if they're at a college or institution where, like, say, engineering is their top program. So keep that in mind as well too. Make a note of that. So let's kind of move on to the next one. Oh, come on. Uh-oh. All right, my slides are goofy and off. Okay, let's go. Slide, come on. There we go. All right, so here's 4 more things I want to talk to you about. So the next thing after you're kind of moving through these ideas, a key thing you will have to do is choose housing and your meal plan, right? The housing is where they're going to stay on campus or off campus, and then oftentimes the college will offer very different types of housing arrangements on campus. My professional recommendation and opinion, I don't know where parents are, but from a educational, student affairs, dean of student affairs perspective, freshman students should not be in apartments. All right. Freshman year, they absolutely should be on campus. No matter what your students say, and they're ready to get an apartment, they're not ready. Okay. So please make sure you're looking at housing options on campus. Many colleges and universities require that the freshmen stay on campus. Some do not. So it depends. Find out from your institution or college. Recommendation, they should be on campus. My professional recommendation and what I did with all of my students I work with and all of my own children, they stay on campus all 4 years. Why? Because they're there to be college students. They have to be immersed in the college experience all 4 years. When you're on college on a college campus, then you're a college student the entire time. Your entire experience is all revolving around being a college student. When you move off campus, then you're only just coming to campus to take classes or whatever. Now you're in a whole environment that is not really geared to college. The apartments off campus or whatever is not necessarily geared. Everyone's living there, all right? Just a recommendation, it's a personal choice, but that's my professional recommendation. Try to stay all 4 years if possible. And think of it this way too. College is more than just the academic classes that students take, right? Think about it. They're only taking 2 to 3 classes in a day. That's 3 hours out of the day. If they're in an apartment, they're only on campus for those 3 hours for their classes, and then they're gone. And then, so they're kind of disconnected from the college experience, the college, what's happening on the campus, versus if they're on campus when they're not in class, that's how they get to be involved and find different spaces that's right for them. When I did the work on the college campus, that's what I did, ensuring that there were all different types of activities and people and all kinds of things to make sure that no matter who the student was, they can find their place. And there was everything to help them develop into their full selves as they're human. College isn't just about the classes they're going to take for their major. They're going to learn so much about themselves as people. They're going to mature. They're going to become independent. They're going to learn creative and critical thinking skills. All of that doesn't happen in the classroom. That happens, the majority of it actually, outside of the classroom. So where is that going to happen? On that college campus. That's where everything is happening. So Try to keep your child on campus if possible. Again, it's a personal individual choice, my recommendation. Also with meal plans, keep in mind that most colleges now will require that if a student is on campus, they must also purchase a meal plan. Okay. They have different types of meal plans, so you'll need to take a look at them. Colleges now have restaurants and fast food restaurants. They have Chick-fil-A and Starbucks and everybody else on campuses now. So what they do is they have plans where you can have a few meals in the cafeteria and a few dollars you can use to go to a Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell or whatever on campus. So figure that out. Here's a recommendation tidbit as well too. Keep me up on my time too, Mr. Burrows, in case I'm running over. I get long-winded on these things. It's a part I love.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. So on the meal plan, here's another little tidbit for keep in mind, there are some meal plans that will say like 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, like 21 meals a week, 7 times 3, 20. And most parents, of course, being parents, we want to make sure that our kids have all the food they need and we don't want them hungry. And those meal plans are very expensive. I'm here to tell you if you haven't looked at them yet. But word to the wise, don't get that expensive meal plan. You will find that your child will not go in that cafeteria and hit all of those 3 meal times 7 days a week, especially on the weekend. So they got to get up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the weekend. They're not going to do that because a lot of times they're probably going to sleep later, maybe, because there's only certain times they can use it. So make sure you just look at the different types, and that could be a way where you can reduce some of your costs as well too, but not by not getting the most expensive meal plan, but trying to get one that's a little bit less. Okay. And the housing and will require a deposit as well too. So once you make that decision, so you have to send that deposit, that enrollment deposit. Here is the second and third deposit. Also, you will most likely have to make, you will have to do a deposit around that housing. Housing deposits vary. They could be anywhere from $250 to $500. Again, this is a deposit that you have to make now, and it is not contingent upon financial aid, and you can't wait until financial aid is awarded in August. That has to happen now. You want to do it as soon as possible, so you have all the options to look at whichever housing your child decides they want, or you guys want to decide together what that housing will look like. If you wait all the way later, sometimes the really good housing is all gone. All right, so you don't want that to happen. The other thing, this is a key also, make sure you know about the immunizations, know the policy, what's required. Immunizations was something that was required way before COVID. So I'm not just talking about the immunization to COVID, what's required there. I'm talking about all the other immunizations that was required way before that, okay? Meningitis usually is one that's required. It's been required for years, and it probably still is. So make sure you are aware of what your school policy is on that and get those in. That information oftentimes can be found in the portal. And keep in mind also, some of these things that I'm giving you could have deadlines. Some institutions will say they want certain documents by certain dates in order for your child to enroll in classes in the fall. So make sure you're in that portal, you're keeping up with it. If not, ask those questions. And that will move us into another one that you want to make sure you're doing is the orientation. New student orientation is critical. Make sure you register and you attend orientation. That is the place where you get to talk to people. Orientations will oftentimes, and every institution does it differently. So you will have to figure out how they do it for yours. Some have an online component where they have just some information online in the portal. You go through that, and then you come into an in-person one on campus where you can meet with faculty members in your potential major. You can ask questions. You go on a tour around the campus. They'll take you to the bookstore. You talk about policy. This is the only way you can really find out what are the policies and how does your institution operate. And it's critical that you have to know. And this is the start of it, is that orientation. There's key dates they're going to give you, and you need to know those. When does the semester end? When is drop ad? When can I pick up my financial aid? When is this due? Those are all key information that happens at orientation. You want to get that information. So don't miss your orientation, okay? Key takeaway, if they give dates, make sure you're putting those dates into your calendar at the time that you receive them. Much of college is a lot about organization and planning. Most students just get overwhelmed because there's so much coming at them all at the same time. Because they got the financial piece, so they got to manage their financial life. They got to manage their academic life. They got to manage their personal life. It's a lot coming. Organization is key. All right. And of course, you got to send that final transcript. Please don't miss that one. Many students that I have seen have lost out on money and scholarships, things like that at the end because they forgot about sending that final transcript, and then the institution awarded it to someone else. So make sure you get that final transcript in as well too. That's a key part. All right. All right, so here we are. So I talked about some 8 key things for you to do right now. And my key point of that is to make sure that you are setting your child up to start college smart. That's what I call it, because I have seen so many students who come in and it's the first week of classes and they're still trying to they're trying to complete a lot of the items I just shared with you. So you don't want your child to start behind the 8 ball. You don't want them to start all stressed out and still trying to run around. So kind of plan these things out now. Start planning now so you can have time to get through this in a credible time. A couple of other things I just want to share, the next steps after this. Okay, so we kind of talked about, all right, we decided on the college. Here are the enrollment pieces that we need to take care of. Here's a couple of other things I want you to kind of just have in your hat, in your toolbox as well too. And then we're going to leave it at this. Follow your college or university on social media. It's a great way. Also is a time to connect with a roommate. So once you know the college, you've checked your, you selected your housing option, they've connected you with your roommate, connect with your roommate before you start. Great time. And let me tell you about social media. Great place to find so much information for parents and for students. It's not just the college's official site. It's a great way to see what the other students who are attending there are saying, what's out there. It's a great way to find out information. If you have questions, it's a great way. Send your child out there and ask the questions of the students are there. What do they think about X, Y, or Z? They can give them really great information. Okay, that's real time and it's real and not what the college thinks they should hear or how it should sound. They'll get real information from real students who are in attendance. Then, of course, they have to register for classes. Now, remember, we talked about the orientation and why that's so important. Some colleges or universities actually may do course registration or registering for your classes at the orientation. Some may not. Find out about that as well too, okay? Critical piece, because as you get those other pieces, then you want to meet with the advisor, find out what that major is going to be, and then register for those classes. Why is that critical now? Keep in mind that these students are coming in, registering for classes, as well as all of the returning students as well. Classes fill up, all right? And if students want to have a nice schedule that works for them, the earlier they can register for their classes, the better. Students who wait to the end And this is a lesson for them to learn, not just as a freshman, but their entire college career. All right. Students who wait to the end up with not the best classes oftentimes, or the best schedule, not classes, the best schedule, because they have to take the classes they need. But they can really end up with a really crappy schedule where they may have an 8 o'clock class and not another class until 4 o'clock. That most students don't want to schedule like that. They want their classes to be a little bit closer, so that once they finish their classes, they have their time to either get involved or work or clubs or whatever it is. All right. Register for classes as quickly as possible. The other great thing about this too is once they're registered, then they can look at books and purchasing books, right? Because you do have to purchase books for your classes. The earlier they know which books to purchase, the earlier they can get them, and they can get the best prices. There could be used books which are cheaper, then you want those. They're less expensive than new books that can cost anywhere from $100 to $200 for some books. And if it's a used book, it may be $50. You want that option to be able to find the less expensive book. But if you wait to the end, the only thing that's going to be left are going to be the new books that's the most expensive. Here's another tip for books. Write this down. Keep this in your journal, whatever you're doing, your college file. Now for many students, the option exists where you can rent books versus purchase. So look into the option actually also of rental. It is actually a textbook for some cases. Some could be an online text. Most of them are an actual book where you rent it. They actually send it to you. You pay for the rental. It's not free. You pay for it, but at a much less price than you would pay to purchase. You rent it, and then at the end, you mail it back. For some courses, that's all students need. They don't need to purchase every book for every single course. My recommendation is that books related to the major, you want to hold on to those because those major courses usually build on each other. But general courses that you may have to take that is not part of your major, you don't necessarily have to keep those books and build those up in your library. Major course books, yes, you do. Hope that makes sense. Join a club. That's the other thing. Remember I told you about why staying on campus is so important, so your child can get integrated. They can get engaged. They can find their niche of people. They have to find their community. And a club is a great way for them to start doing that. So the earlier they connect, the earlier they get engaged, the earlier their grades will respond to and reflect that engagement and that connection. Okay, so I'm calling it a club, but there's a lot of different things on a college campus, but they can start with a club. That's usually where I tell freshman students to at least start with a club. And there's intramural, there's all kinds of, there's sports, there's arts, there's gaming, there's everything on the campus. They just have to find where are they people? Where are their people? Who are their people? Where are they? And they need to find them and connect with them. Because when they connect with them, retention is improved, grades are improved, and it just gets students closer to that graduation stage and earning that degree, which is why we're all here, right? And all of this is part of the education of a college experience. And that's what I want to share too, why this is important. It's not just about picking a major and getting a degree with those classes. It's also about all of the experience that will go into making them the full-fledged human being that they will be on this journey. And of course, like I said, you know me, I'm always about that money and paying as little as possible for college. Continue to look for scholarships. Don't stop looking for scholarships. There is money still out there. The scholarship search never ends. Let me repeat that, it never ends. They should be looking now, looking all the way until when they enroll and continue even as a freshman, because you pay for college for 4 years, not just the freshman year. All right, so I want to just share one other thing with you. Here's my contact information with Collegiate Bridge. And I do have a parent workshop that Collegiate Bridge will be offering this summer for parents of students who will be entering college in the fall. And it's our Smart Start College Prep Program. And it is a bridge program for seniors, for freshmen. And it is based on, like I said, a lot of it is based on the research that I did around building this bridge program out of my research. That's where it came from. And it specifically provides students and parents with the information that they need to ensure that their child could successfully start college as a freshman with all the tools they need. So it's kind of around that idea that you're college bound, but are you college ready? Because it's two different things. So all of these students now are accepted in their college bound, but are they college ready? And what this program is going to do is ensure that you have all that insider information that I'm bringing out from being on that campus and knowing and everything I've seen with the students, and ensuring they have all that insider information, what we call that unwritten curriculum, because there's a lot of things about college and a whole nother language that students don't even understand. So we share all of that. If you're interested, just send me an email and I'll update you on the information. We will offer that in June, just prior to students heading into their fall semester, heading off to college. We do it after everything is over in the summer and getting them prepped, and then they'll be ready to hit that college campus. All right, so I'm going to end it there and leave some time for some questions.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Nicole. You were just helping me to reflect on everything that I was doing in college and taking the placement test and joining clubs. Like that was super helpful. So thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions on their heart or mind?
I see a lot in the chat, but I didn't look at it, so I'm hoping you're monitoring.
Someone says, can we get a copy of the slides? I know this will be recorded. This is recorded, and I will send you the present. I will send you the recording as was sent last time.
Mm-hmm. We could do the recording.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. So I will send you all the recording within 2 business days. Anything else? People are saying thank you. Very informative.
All right,